This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Did you know that with a VPN server, you can connect as if you were in your favorite location? Without needing to be physically in the United States, France, or Kingdom of Denmark, you can connect from these countries. But why? It turns out that some websites or applications are only available depending on your geographical location. From home, you could now access programs on various streaming platforms. For instance, if you go to Islamic Republic of Iran, where many apps are restricted, with NordVPN this is no longer a limitation. With NordVPN, you have access to more than 5,200 servers in 59 countries. In other words, it's the fastest VPN service on the market. Also, NordVPN is available on all the most used platforms: Android, Windows, iOS, macOS, or Linux. If you're worried about your data, you can stop worrying, as NordVPN has double encryption and the option of CyberSec, which works as an ad blocker and anti-malware. And the great news today is that with the code I leave you in the description and first comment, you will have access to a 73% discount for the first 2 years, a completely free month of subscription, and a 30-day money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied with the product. What are you waiting for? I leave you the link in the description and pinned comment. The Promised Land refers to a territory that supposedly the Abrahamic God, a God of peace and love, provided to his chosen people from time immemorial. However, peace is what is lacking in this troubled region. The conflict between Israel and Palestine seems like a never-ending issue, and the controversy completely polarizes the world. While the Palestine claim that the territory was Arab from the beginning of Islam, the Israelis align with a distant past for which they claim the land that their God promised them. In this video, we will focus on the Israeli position according to historical events, in addition to mentioning the counter-arguments to this stance. Interested? Go ahead, then stay until the end of the video, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We will be uploading 3 videos a week, so you won't miss them. To understand the arguments of the current Israelis, it is necessary to go back to the origins of the Jewish people. According to Judeo-Christian tradition, it all begins with Abraham, a character from Genesis originally from Uruguay, an ancient Mesopotamian city in present-day Iraq. This prophet is said to have received the command from Yahweh to settle in the land of Canaan, which corresponds to present-day Israel, Palestine, and parts of Jordan, Syrian Arab Republic, and Lebanon, what was called the Promised Land. At that time, Canaan was a land inhabited by various Semitic peoples, such as the Amorites, Phoenicians, or Arameans. Abraham, for his part, is considered the first Hebrew, and his descendants would make up that people. That is, his native language would have been the same as is spoken today in present-day Israel. Although, to tell the truth, contemporary Hebrew is the only resurrected language in the world, as it had disappeared with the various Jewish diasporas, remaining only as a liturgical language and not officially revived until the creation of the State of Israel as part of the identity of the Jewish people. Returning to the story, Abraham's grandson, Jacob, would be renamed as Israel, and his 12 sons give the name to the 12 tribes of Israel. Due to famine, the Israelites, who should not be confused with the current Israelis, moved to the land of Goshen, which was controlled by ancient Egypt. It is here when they become enslaved until the appearance of the well-known Moses. This prophet, considered the most important in Judaism, would guide the Israelite people back to the Promised Land, where after conquering the city of Jericho, they settle in the territory, dividing it into the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel, except for the Levites, who were in charge of the Jerusalem temple. So far, the information about all these characters and events is mainly found in the Old Testament. Around the middle of the 11th century BC, they would appear. Other fundamental characters, the kings Saul, David, and Solomon, who would found the United Kingdom of Israel. While these characters are also not universally accepted by all historians, at least there are some archaeological evidences that put the topic up for debate. The greatest proof of the existence of this united kingdom is found in the ruins of Kirit. Even certain important events such as Jeroboam's revolt are dated. After the death of King Solomon, a civil war begins between the territories of the tribe of Judah and the rest of the Israelite territory, leading to the division of the kingdom into two, Samaria and Judah. It's important to note that until then the Hebrew people of Israel were not Jewish as such. In addition to the fact that Canaanite and Mesopotamian paganism was still practiced, the majority religion was Yahwism. This is how the primitive stage of modern Judaism centered on the God Yahweh was called, and it was based on an evolution of faith towards monotheism. The Kingdom of Judah, with its capital in Jerusalem on the other hand, made this transition, and it is from its name that the term Judaism is derived. Likewise, Judah would offer greater resistance in this conflict-ridden region, as the Israelites of Samaria would be annexed by the Neo-Assyrian Empire around 720 BC. Judah would fall during the siege of Jerusalem in 587 BC at the hands of the emperor, Nebuchadnezzar II of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And it is here that the successive diasporas of the Jewish people begin, as a tremendous number of subsequent empires passed through their coveted Promised Land. Achaemenid Persians, Macedonians of Alexander the Great Ptolemaic Egypt, Seleucid Greeks, Romans Byzantines, and Sassanid Persians. By the 2nd century BC, the Hasmonean dynasty, who achieved a brief period of independence during the transition between Seleucid and Roman rule. It's important to highlight that the essence of this kingdom was Aramean, a people whose language is from the same Semitic group as Hebrew, and who used the latter as the liturgical language of Judaism. And of course, Aramaic is also remembered for being the possible language of Jesus of Nazareth. The turning point in the Promised Land occurs at the end of the 7th century, with the well-known arrival of the Prophet of Islam and the expansion of the First Caliphate. The Rashidun, according to Muslims, Muhammad would have ascended to heaven from Jerusalem, more precisely from where the Dome of the Rock is currently located. For this reason, the Holy Land is now not only sacred to Jews and Christians, but also for Muslims. Over the centuries, the region was controlled by successive Muslim dynasties. The Crusades period in the Middle Ages is notable, in which the Christians completed the conquest of the Holy Land and founded the Kingdom of Jerusalem, which lasted for almost 2 centuries until it fell back under Muslim rule by the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt. This would be the prelude to the arrival of the Ottoman Turks, who remained for 4 centuries. It was during this period that a relative peaceful coexistence between Jews and Muslims was achieved. This was because, although followers of religions other than Islam paid more taxes, their faith was respected. With the rise of the Zionist movement during the 19th century, a progressive migration of Jews to what is now Israel began, where at that time they were a minority compared to the Muslims. After the First World War, the Ottomans withdrew and the British Mandate of Palestine was created. Under the rule of the United Kingdom is when the disputes between Jews and Muslims begin, which turn into an exhaustive war from 1948, the development of which you can see in more detail in this video. This year coincides with the creation of the State of Israel, and after the first major conflict, the Palestinians are left without a state of their own. And this is where we have to analyze, is it legitimate for Israel to be a Jewish state? As you can see, both peoples claim the territory historically. The Jews appeal to the existence of the aforementioned ancient kingdoms of Israel, Samaria, and Judah, based on the Hebrew heritage, which is why the language was revived. The Arabs claim it by appealing to the almost uninterrupted Muslim occupation since the 6th century AD. The arguments of the Jews are often rebutted by questioning the existence of the ancient states. Likewise, the Zionist movement, which has been a call to all Jews in the world to return to the Promised Land, is often questioned, as not all contemporary Jews could necessarily associate with the ancient Semitic Hebrews. In fact, only an approximate 44% of Jews in present-day Israel are Mizrahi, that is, ethnically from the Middle East, while another 44% are of Ashkenazi or Sephardic descent, white Jews from Europe. Remember that Israel is a state whose essence is the Jewish religion, a faith that spread through constant diasporas. So the detractors of Zionism assert that many Israelis never owned the Promised Land. On the other hand, the arguments in favor of the State of Israel are also based on international law, since from the UN resolution of 1948, Israel is created as a legitimate state in the eyes of most of the countries of the world, even though many Muslim states continue to resist recognizing it as a sovereign nation. Likewise, Israel has received great support from the West, while Hamas, a Palestinian organization that seeks to establish an Islamic State throughout the territory of the former British Mandate, is labeled as a terrorist organization. In addition, Israel is recognized as one of the most active countries in the war against terrorism. However, abuses by Israel towards the Palestine have also been reported, some of whom are described as living like citizens. Today, the conflict is still very much alive, and it seems we will not find a short-term solution. For our part, it is necessary to know the entire historical and social context in order to issue a valid opinion. Now that you've seen it in this video, how do you think the exhaustive Arab-Israeli conflict should be resolved? Don't forget to leave your comment and subscribe to the channel. Also, I leave you in the description my social networks, and in case you want to see the new videos in pre-premiere and have a greater interaction with me, your donations on Patreon or channel members are welcome. See you next time!